everyone, and welcome back to The Pull List. I'm your host, Brian Hines. This is my satellite show of my regular review show, Comic Book Issues, where I review one comic a week and then give you a month's worth of comic reviews. And we're going to wrap up 2019 with my reviews for December of 2019, Match. Well, we're going to start with week 1, and it's New Mutants number 2. So Jonathan Hickman, who has been the architect of the mutant renaissance at Marvel, is also writing the New Mutants as well as X-Men. Previously, he'd written characters Cannonball and Sunspot when they were part of the Avengers when he was writing that title. So now the mutants are living in Utopia, and the only thing missing for the old New Mutants gang is their friend Cannonball, who's living in space with his alien wife and their son. Or is it a daughter? They had a baby, I know that much. So they get Cyclops' dad, Corsair, to take them into space, but then they end up annoying the Starjammers, so they abandon them on a space station where they get arrested. Issue 2 opens with them in space jail, and their space lawyer, a giant gecko in a suit, defending the New Mutants along with former Generation X members Chamber and Mondo, who was not actually Mondo if I remember the old Generation X comic, but look, that's way too convoluted to get into right now. They're instantly found guilty and turned over to the Shi'ar, which happens to be Cannonball and his wife Smasher. There's bickering among friends, married couple antics, and a diversion to pick up an old X-Men enemy. In space! Okay. The book's pretty enjoyable, and Hickman has a good feel for the characters, especially the dialogue between Sam and Roberto really stands out, but that's to be expected since he's written them before. Unfortunately, since then, issues 3 and 4 have come out, and they feature a filler story with a new creative team and new, non-New Mutant characters starring in the title. So it appears someone on the title isn't pulling their weight. But issue 5 should return them to the space story, so there's still plenty of time to get on track with this book, as I've heard the events in New Mutants are going to lead into the big space X-Men crossover that's been building up when the X-Men fight their old enemy, the Brood. For week 2, we've got the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles issue 1 by Boom Studios. So a few shows ago, I did a review of Boom's Ghostbusters and Transformers miniseries. Well, Boom must really love playing with their toy box, because now we've got a Power Rangers Ninja Turtles crossover by Ryan Parrott and drawn by Simone DeMille. The Rangers spend the first few pages kicking one of Rita's monsters' butts, that's a lot of apostrophe S's, and then the Turtles take on the Foot Clan, but Raphael gets his butt kicked by the newest member of the Foot Clan, Tommy. Now good, another Power Ranger story that focuses on Tommy. There are other characters that they can write about, but he is a fan favorite, so whatever. The Turtles eventually catch Tommy alone, and he transforms into the Green Ranger after mistaking them for monsters. The other Rangers who have been worried about him since he's been gone so long hone in on his signal and take his side, leading to a fight between the two teams. I really enjoyed this first issue. The story isn't spelling everything out for you, which I like, and there's a little mystery as to why Tommy is in New York and why is he with the Foot Clan, and what is Shredder after. Is Rita and her team going to play into this at all? The art has a very stylized anime feel to it that works. This is a fun read, and I'm looking forward to issue 2. With week 3, it's Fantastic Four number 17. So by now, we're well into Dan Slott's run on the Fantastic Four. He's reunited the team, got the thing married, and even had the requisite throwdown between Dr. Doom and Galactus. So now Dan's meddling with their origins a bit. The team decides to retake the original rocket trip that gave them their powers, but to launch it and land it successfully this time. They wind up in another dimension where an alien society uses cosmic rays to give their heroes the unparalleled superpowers. The reason they're creating all these superheroes is their leader, the Overseer, has long foreseen the Fantastic Four as the destroyers of his world. We're in the middle of the story now, and we get a flashback to how several of the unparalleled characters got their powers, even as Ben is leading the mutated heroes back to the surface. In this society, if you have a physical mutation like the Thing, you're cast down into the underworld and exiled. This issue finally reunites the scattered members of the Fantastic Four, even as Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman learn and reveal that the Overseer caused their original rocket crash. He diverted cosmic rays to cause them to crash, thus he's the man responsible for creating the Fantastic Four. The story has been good, if a little long, introducing a new romance for the Human Torch and tweaking but not changing their origin story. Slott's got a good handle on the family by now and is well enough at writing the characters. He keeps it light and humorous at times, but gets serious and dramatic when he needs to. This particular story does feel like it's running a little long, so I'm glad it's probably wrapping up in the next issue or 2. The art's decent, but I've got 4 different artists working on this individual issue, so the art isn't entirely consistent throughout. And finally, for week 4, it's Doomsday Clock, number 12. This is the final issue of Jeff Johns and Gary Frank's Watchmen Meet the DC Universe story. So the face-off between Dr. Manhattan and Superman has led to this Kingdom Come-style brawl between superheroes that's threatening to destroy the Earth. Ultimately, Dr. Manhattan finally acts, and we see how he altered Earth's history to take away the JSA, so Superman grew up in a different world, and how that eventually affected the Legion of Superheroes. He sets things right, and we're reunited with the Legion, which now looks suspiciously like the Brian Bendis version, which I talked about in the last pull list, and the reunited JSA. This story is all about legacies and wraps up a lot of questions about Flashpoint and Rebirth, predicts a bunch of future crises for the heroes on Earth, restores some very important characters to Superman's supporting cast, and deals with the remaining Watchmen characters in the DC universe. Ultimately, this book explains the last few reboots and acts as a sort of appreciation for Superman. Not just his importance to the DC universe, but the effect he has on people even outside observers like Dr. Manhattan and even the readers. And while 12 issues might seem like a lot to a master storyteller like Jeff Johns, he never disappointed you and never wasted a single issue. I was enthralled with each issue I read. I'm also very glad they never let anyone besides Gary Frank do the art, as there's something to be said for consistency on art in big event books like this. I have to say this was probably my favorite read of 2019, and even though that book started in 2017. But overall, the book I enjoyed most last year was Doomsday Clock. So read it now that you'll be able to get the collections, and I'm sure you're going to like it. Okay, my friends, be sure to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/LastAngryGeek. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you back here for the first reviews of 2020 when I take on January next month. Until then, my friends, this is The Pull List, and I'm your host, Brian Hines.